listening to the Good Girl Podcast, the podcast that is redefining the good through uncomfortable truths. I call those uncomfortable truths. I call those confessions. So every week we have a guest on sharing their confession. And this week we have the lovely Andrea Jackson. Hey, girl.
Hi, Cameo. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be on your show. I usually don't do podcasts for other people just because it's new to me, and I'm also a person that gets nervous. But you really have such a presence about yourself that's very welcoming and that's very calming. So thank you for having me on your show.
I'm so glad to have you on the Good Girl Podcast, and thank you for that. And I'm particular about who I allow on my show because I really believe that this is a sacred space. And I met you in a clubhouse, and you just your voice carried so much weight and so much power. I said, I gotta bring her on.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I mean, you guys did a platform in Clubhouse that I thought was amazing. And I love when there's conversations where there's back and forth. There's sometimes pushback, but also where we come together and it's like, okay, I could really be open here. So thank you, ladies, for even opening up that space to me. It was really awesome.
Yeah. And so before we hop into your confession,
yes,
we're going to do this little this new fun thing. And
okay.
Because I love to bring people into the present moment, because the present is all we have. Yes. We don't have 5 seconds from now. We don't have 10 seconds to go. The present is all we have. And so in order to bring us into the present moment, I asked my guests to sing or rap. Or I don't know what else you can do, ukulele dance. I don't know, but sing or rap, that is my length of when I know about music. A song that brings us into the present time for them. So, Andrea, you got 5 seconds. I'm gonna count you down, and I gotta go too. But I'm counting. I'm gonna try to sing with you. Sing with you. Okay, so you ready?
Yes, 5, I'm ready.
4, 3, 2, go.
I believe the children are future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter and remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs.
Andrea, go, girl.
A lonely place to be, and I learned to depend on me.
I love the fact. Let's give it up for you.
I'm not a singer, but I love that song. And I think it's mandatory for now that our children are our future. They need guidance. They really do.
Yeah, you sang that from your soul. I felt it. It's okay. You didn't hit the notes, but
No, Whitney. God rest her soul. There is never and will never be a voice like that woman ever.
Yeah. And it's so funny. You know how pop culture kind of messes you up? Because when I heard, after you start singing that, I heard the Coming to America version. Out sex with chocolate. Like this. I said, we're not doing that here.
That was fun. That was fun.
So now it's my turn.
Yes.
Now it's my turn. You gonna count me down? You gotta count me down.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Level up. That's all I know. Level up.
That's right.
So yummy. This so yummy. And it's so funny. I have this. I don't know lyrics to songs, but it
doesn't matter.
That's all I got. Level up.
That's what we got to do. We just got to keep leveling up.
That is
vibrating higher. That's it.
That's how I feel. Real talk, Andrea, is leveling up for me in the best way I can in every area of my life. With my business, spiritually, physically, what I'm eating, level up, because I'm the person that's in control of that. Nobody else can do it for me.
Amen. Speak to it.
That's it. So thank you for participating.
It was fun. I can't believe you got me to do this. It's crazy.
Thank you for participating. So let's hop into your confession. As always, the reason I believe confessions are important, or the reason I have these conversations, is because one, it definitely produces healing. It allows people to see, I think, a whole person. You know, we've gotten to know you a little bit, and when I say a whole person, I think we see, in a sense, the glory of people, but we don't really know. This sounds so churchy, but we don't know their story, right?
No.
Or we see some decisions people may have made, and we don't know some of the nuances behind those decisions or how they got there. And we may even pass judgment on them for their decisions.
Absolutely.
And so I'm excited to hear your confession. And so I'm going to turn it over to you and ask that question. Boom. That's my drum roll. So Andrea, what is your confession?
Oh, my confession is that I was a divorcee for 5 years, and I got back with my husband after 5 years of divorce.
Oh, so wait, you was married, divorced,
Married,
and married again.
to the same man. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, I know somebody, people probably want me to come here. It's like, oh my God, you know what? Went through a messy divorce. We got back together and it's great. Not so much. It is work.
Mm-hmm.
It is work. I've been with my husband since I was 17. First boyfriend, not the first guy I ever been with. I said my first boyfriend. I like to make that clear because I don't need any reminders. You know what I mean? But, I was young, right? And I did not know, I don't think you could really have a child get married at such a young age and not really know who you are. You don't know who you are. You think you're in love. And I'm sure that I was in love at the time. But love at 17 and love at 45, it's kind of two different loves. I know who I am now. I'm very clear with who I am. And there is no swaying me either way on who Andrea Paula Jackson is. I'm clear about that. And what I will say is, before women and before men, before we get married, we got to have our own life. We got to have our own journey. We got to have a purpose, because when you do that too soon, you become somebody else's purpose, not only for your mate, but for your children.
That's good.
Right. And so I try not to discourage and try to say, well, shame on you. I told my daughter, when she was a teenager, you don't want to do what I did. You don't want to go that route. I'm not saying life is over. You're going to have to take a different journey, and it's not going to be the easiest journey.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you were so how long were you married the first time?
Oh God, 20 something years.
20 something years. So at any point in the first part of the first marriage,
mm-hmm.
did you feel that this is not it? Like, before you got to that, yep, we need to get, before you got to the, we need to get a divorce.
Uh-huh.
At any point, did you feel like, nope, he's not the one, he's not it?
Yeah, I definitely felt that way. I felt that way before we even had our second child, just because I was changing. And he was right. I was getting older. I was changing. And there's certain things I wanted to do and I wanted to accomplish. And although he's a huge supporter of growth, we had a communication problem. And it broke down the marriage, because when you don't communicate, and you don't communicate in the respectful way, there is no marriage. You may be legally married. You may share homes and children together, but there's no marriage when you don't communicate in the proper way for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I realized where the communication was just getting worse. It wasn't getting better. The respect was pretty much gone on both sides. I actually didn't divorce my husband. My husband divorced me.
Wow.
So that's something that people always assume, well, you just left. It's like, no, I used divorce a lot as a tool to try to get him in line, which it's like a woman using their baby as a tool to get the man to pay his child support, which is never going to work. It just don't work. You can't use things that are very sensitive to people to hit below the belt to get what you want, because you know what happens. The person eventually gets tired. Yeah. And although I felt like we both were on our outs, he filed for divorce.
That's interesting, because I did make the assumption that you left, like you made the decision.
No.
That's interesting. And so talk about, if you can, talk about those moments when it became like the fish, when you knew that it was over.
Um, to be honest with you, for me, I didn't think it was over until I was served divorce papers. Because see, when you live in a home with someone, if you've established your home together and you have this family together, and someone serves you within the home, it does something to you. It does something to you. And even in the end, when he was trying to stop the proceedings to try to, let's see if we could work this out, let's renovate the whole house, all these things to try to save it. For me, deep down, the damage was done. Because there's something about going down to 60th Century Street on Wall Street that's really, for me, degrading. For me. It's something about sitting down with a mediator and a judge and having them decide what's best for my family and for my kids. And although I will take full responsibility for my part of always bringing up divorce as a threat, I just think when you go out there and you fill out all them papers, that's a lot of paperwork. You just should be divorced. And I did just that.
So can you talk about, and so in our previous conversation, you talked about owning the responsibility and the breakdown of anything when it's two consenting adults.
Yes.
Owning the responsibility. And so in the first part of the marriage, what part did you own?
The way that I spoke to him. I am very flip with my mouth. And I think sometimes you can really go too far with your words. And one thing about words, you can't take them back. Whether they were true or not, you can't take them back. And when you go to certain places, deep down, in order for this to not go further, you're going to probably have to move away from this situation. Because there's no way you can stay in it. I feel when you cut on both sides so deep that whether it's the man or whether it's the woman, I'm not taking sides. I mean, I feel women could just be just as verbally or physically abusive than men. I just don't think people talk about these things authentically.
So the interesting thing to me is, like, we're told this fairy tale about how marriage, how life should be, that when you find the one, not that it's going to be all, rainbows and unicorns. I think we're past that moment, but we don't talk about the ebbs and flows of marriage. Do you think that, and I don't know what narrative you were told about marriage, especially with you getting married so young. You got married at 19, right? And so do you think that also played a part in it, that I expected, like there were some expectations I had for his performance or for this marriage that also contributed to the breakdown in the first part of the relationship?
Of course I had expectations. I mean, I grew up with both of my parents. My parents were married. Now, how much I saw my dad do or how much my dad was there, that's a whole nother conversation, right? I grew up seeing my father every day. I grew up seeing my mom every day. My mom cooked, cleaned, what have you, and was the breadwinner. So I grew up wanting not my dad. I didn't want a man like my dad. I want a man that was going to be there for his kids at the recitals. If I need to get their hair done, he can do the baby's hair. He could pay the bills. He could do it all. And so I got just what I put into the universe. I wanted a responsible man and a great dad. And he's that. But sometimes you have to realize you may get exactly what you asked for. I was more focused on who he was going to be for his children and the breadwinner that he was going to be, instead of thinking, is he for me and what I need? And am I for him? So you can see how sometimes your childhood could play a big part on who you pick for a partner.
So what I just find interesting about your story, and we haven't even gotten to the 5-year divorce and then getting back together, is the fact that, to me, if you're meant to be with someone, then you're going to be with them.
Right.
But it may look different. Like your story may look different.
It's not going to be the same.
So I'll say, so when the divorce was final and you had this, in a sense, 5-year break,
Mhm.
did you say, yep, it's over, it's done? I'm like, did you have, and I'm also thinking about, so obviously I've never been married, never been divorced,
Mhm.
but I've heard people
Mhm.
who have been, like it's probably one of the most traumatic experiences that you can. It's. I think one person defined it as a burn all over your body, and that your body responds that way because it's so emotionally taxing.
It was like a death to me, right? And I've had enough death in my family. I lost 2 sisters and I lost a dad. So I know what it feels like. And that's what it reminded me of, that emotion, that feeling. It was like a death to me. This is all I know. This is all I knew. This was the father of my children, right? He has no other children but these 2. And we've experienced so much together. We experienced sickness. We experienced death together, pain, family times, fun vacations, recitals, piano lessons, graduations, and all of that was going to be different. Now, although we're still a family, we're not a family under the same roof. So it is going to be a difference. It's going to be a change for the children. Our daughter was already headed to college, so it was different for her than for our son who's younger, who's 10 years younger than her. It was a change for him not having his dad around every day. And although he saw his dad most because we made sure that we got homes within the same area, so we didn't have to travel too far, it was still a change. It was a death to me. I mourned for at least 3 years.
Mhm.
I didn't have a relationship with anybody. I was not with anyone.
So what happened? What happened over the course of those 5 years to you?
I got a lot of counseling. Um, I got to learn who Andrea was um, as an individual. I lost myself. I became, a wife, a mother, and that was my identity. Right. So here I am 5 years by myself, living on my own, decorating things the way I want and not having to say, well, what is your thoughts? What do you think? And this is how my podcast and all these things started for me, was me being by myself and learning myself and what I like and what I don't like. I was even cooking different things because here I'm cooking for what my family likes, not really taking into account something as simple as that of what do I like? I love to dance. I love music. I love candles. I love writing. There was a lot of those things that I wasn't doing anymore because I just didn't make time for me.
It's so interesting you share that because we're taught as women very explicitly, not even implicitly, very
Mhm.
explicitly, that
Mhm.
our identity should be wrapped up in these external things like our husbands or our children, and that's all you should focus on.
Mhm.
But what you're sharing with me is that that was actually detrimental to you, but also detrimental to those things, your marriage, your
Yeah.
role as a mother.
Yeah. Because you become fixated on, your marriage and what you think it should look like and find yourself comparing it to others. And I always say, if you're not sleeping under somebody's bed, you don't know what the hell goes on in their house. So you need to stop comparing your situation to other situations. The truth of the matter is, when you're putting 2 different people that come from 2 different backgrounds together, you're not going to get a perfect situation because everybody's coming with their luggage. And a lot of us have not even packed our luggage before we then become one and then add children to that, which is not always the best situation for a relationship that's already strained. And people don't want to have these topics. They don't want to talk about these things. And I really think, the knowledge that I know now, if I knew it then, I would have done things completely different. But we can't go back in time. All we can do is learn from it. And all we can do is really share the truth. There's a lot of pretenders out there. You look at Instagram, you'll end up, if you don't have a problem mentally, you're going to end up one with mentally because there is a lot of pretending going on out there. And it is not true. You understand? I've been through a lot of health stuff with my husband, chemo and all of that. I've been through infidelity. I've been through a lot of stuff. You understand? Just like he's been through a lot of stuff with me. He's been there for, all my health issues. And that puts a strain on a marriage. And people don't even think that maybe one day one of you will get sick. And that's when some people throw in the towel, like, I just can't deal with this. I wasn't that type of woman, and he's really not that type of person. We're about sticking it out. But it comes a time where you have to do what is your truth, and you have to follow your happiness. Because if you're not truly happy with yourself, you're going to always look for someone else, whether it's your husband or your children, to make you happy. And the truth of the matter, they're just not going to. Not in the way that you need.
You dropped a lot.
No, I see you. I see you. You're deciphering between. I see you thinking.
Yeah. You shared a lot, Andrea, and as much as people hear this, I don't think there's really a way to prepare yourself for marriage, right? No. Because it's something like you'll never experience. It's more so putting yourself in the best possible position. And this is exactly what you're sharing. And so you said you would do things differently, if you had a chance. So does that mean that you regret, getting married so early? Give me some context.
I would be lying to you if I said I didn't have regrets. When people say, well, if this didn't happen to me, that's not true. You do have regrets. Do I sit there and knock myself over the head like, oh my God, I would? No, I don't. But if you're asking me honestly, do I have regrets? Absolutely. I would do things differently. I would make different choices. That's just the truth. And I'm at a stage in my life, I don't have to pretend and I don't have to lie. I did when I was younger at 45 and no uterus, not so much. I really don't care what you think.
I love how candid you are, ma'am. Love it. Because this is what people need. Like we paint these pictures and we like to put a bow tie at the end of the story, but it's like, that's not the truth. And then you create this expectation in your mind that this is what it's going to be. And then when you get there and you don't have it, you're wondering what's wrong with you. You're wondering, you're having an identity crisis. You're going through these emotional and mental changes because you've been fed something that's not true.
And not only that, sometimes we feed ourselves these BS stories. Sometimes we can't even blame somebody else. I've seen people cry and I just wish I wasn't in this. And then you see that they're pretending for other people who may not be in relationships or may not have relationships to make them feel a way. That's their insecurity. You understand? And women that turn around like, my husband, my ring. It's like, yeah, but you know what? A lot of things has happened behind the scenes. And it's unfortunate because I can see you. I don't see what you show me. I see you. I see, because when you have pain in your eyes as a woman, you could look at another woman and see the pain. So you could feel the energy of pretenders. Everything is great. I love him. Meanwhile, you're paying all the bills. You understand? He can't do nothing for you but stroke you down. And I don't know who want that because I can't take that to Chase. You know what I mean? When I need to pay this mortgage, I can't take I cannot. You understand? So it's got to be more than that. And that's what I tell you. There's going to be a give and take. Maybe he's a great dad. Maybe he's a great provider. Maybe he makes you feel good, but maybe he's whack in bed. You have to ask yourself what your trade-offs is going to be. And you have to be honest with your trade-offs, because then and only then will you make an authentic decision on your life.
So are you saying that, because I think this is a conversation that a lot of women have in terms of what they expect and what they want in a man, that they want all these things. They create this list. I'm sure you heard of it. Create your list. Your list. And you want these things, like you want him spiritually grounded. You want him focused on his purpose. You want him to care for you. You want him good in bed. I'll say care about your pleasure. That may be a better way to put it. You want him to care about your pleasure. Are you saying that, baby girl, you may not get all those things, or that you will not?
Absolutely. That is exactly what I'm saying. Because nobody, sweetheart, has it all. You could pretend, but no one has it all. There's no such thing as having a great man in bed, a great provider, a great dad. He's, at every event, he's going to drop, or she is going to drop the ball at some point. Okay. And also take into consideration, you may be great in bed now, but maybe when you're 55 or you're 60, not so much. Right? People have to take that life changes. And sometimes the relationship changes, maybe less about a feeling and more about a stimulation to your mind. But you have to be honest with yourself that some things may not last forever. He may be a great provider, but he's missing the kids' recitals because he can't be there because he's got to work. There is going to be a trade-off. And if you think that it's not, you're a liar. You're not being honest.
Mm-hmm.
I have not met one woman that has it all or one man that has it. I haven't met him.
So it's interesting because I'm like, no, I want to push back on that because I want it all. But what I think I hear you saying, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, based on, what you've seen, based on who you coach, based on your friends, is that, he may have the capability, or she may, I know we're talking about men, but this goes both ways.
Yeah.
Have the capability to do all these things, but you aren't going to get all these things at the same time.
No, you're not.
Okay. That settles on my heart a little bit better. I
don't. No, you're not going to. Well, like I said, he may be this way now, Cameo. He may be a great provider, have a great career, able to please you mentally and sexually, and travel with you and support you in your journey. But life happens where some things get altered, and you have to prepare yourself. When I say prepare yourself, you have to have it somewhere in the back of your head that this can change. For the love of God, a person can get sick with cancer and it can change your sexual drive. What are you going to do? Leave your husband, leave your wife? I'm just saying life can change is all I'm saying.
Yeah. So after, on your 5-year journey while you were divorced, at any point during that time, did you still feel like your husband was the one? And when I say the one, I kind of use that loosely because everyone doesn't believe in the one, but did you still feel that this was the person that you should be spending your life with, that this was your life partner?
There was something about him that will always be different for me, right? People can say, well, he's your first love. It's not like I haven't dated someone before, right? And quite frankly, it's not like I haven't had situations outside of my marriage, because I have. We both have. And so for me, will always have something special for him. To say that I love him in the way that I did when I was 17 would be a lie, because I don't love him in that way. It's a different kind of love. And when you go back the second time, it's different. You're vibrating on a different level. You understand? You kind of know this is where we are, this is what we want, but it may not be the, holding hands at night every night. It just may be watching a movie together or sharing in a conversation. So I don't want people to think if you give your ex, a chance that you're going to go back and it's going to be even better or greater. There's still ebbs and flows to this, because you have to remember this one thing. Cameo, you have history. And not all the history was great. So there may be certain things that may happen, may be a trigger and say, oh, are you going back down this path? And they may not be, but it's just a reminder. And sometimes that's hard to get over. And that's why counseling separately and together is so important, to try to keep things on track. But I got to tell you, if you don't communicate and you don't keep that line open completely, whatever it is that you guys are dealing with on either side, you'll end up back in divorce court all over again.
I'm glad you shared that, because you alluded to it earlier. You said like everything isn't all peaches. Everything isn't all, I love the phrase rainbows and unicorns, but it's not. Like it's just different. We have a different understanding. We have a different type of love. So at what point, was it gradual, or was it just like a click that, yep, we want to try this again, or I'm going to try this again, or was it a conversation?
Well, I was with someone else in the 4th year of my divorce, and he knew that there was someone else, right? Because I was like, I want the kids to meet him. I really think this is going to go somewhere. And that's when I started to see the shift. Like, we should go out to dinner. And we did. We went out a few times, just strictly dinner and nothing else, just to talk, to see. And I was like, so do you just want me back because I'm with someone else? Like, is this what it is for you? And I was with this other person for an entire year. And he said, no, I just really know I made a bad choice. I made a mistake. And we have a lot of love here. And I got to tell you, when I got divorced, I was still in love with him. So it's not like we got divorced and it was this, I can't stand you. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to see you. Fine. Here's your papers. No, I quite frankly, I left my home. I left the marital home. I didn't get alimony. I could have. I kind of got a lot of alimony. I didn't want anything. I just wanted him to realize that it was always about love for me. And so not taking him to court for money, not fighting for the homes and putting everything in trust for the kids was because I want him to know it was always about just me and you. It had nothing to do with anything else. Quite frankly, I make my own money and I do really well for myself. But a lot of people try to dig the other person to make them feel pain. I think leaving everything with him made him realize how deep he actually cut me, that I didn't even want anything from you.
That makes me ask the question,
Mhm.
or make the statement then, is love all you need?
I think yes. I'm going to be honest with you. I think we as individuals, we make it complicated, but it's really simple. If you love someone, you have to know that you have to respect them in the way that they need, and you have to love them in the way that they need. You can't love somebody in the way you want to be loved. You have to love somebody in the way they need to be loved. And they dictate that. And a lot of people just can't take that they can't take that type of, it's a give and take. It's like either my way or the highway, or I'm out. Then you might as well be by yourself. You don't want to be in a relationship. Women that try, and I see this all the time with women, I see women that try to manipulate their marriages and control their men. I watched someone one day, the husband wanted to go away with his friends. And I watched this woman threaten her husband. Well, if you go away, you're going to be wondering what I'm doing while you're away. The man done canceled his trip with his friends, didn't go. And I said to myself, you don't want a man because you are a man. You don't want a man. You want a dog or a cat or an animal that you can train. And you know what? He may stay now, but eventually he's going to go later because he's going to meet a woman that doesn't treat him that way. Mm-hmm. So I think when I say accountability, I'm talking to us women because we tend to sometimes point the finger on how we've been victimized. But I realize if you've been victimized, and I feel like I have been at some point, it's because we allowed it. And because we did not unpack our luggage that happened to us as children, and we carry that luggage on our backs wherever we go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Andrea, I thank you so much for your transparency, for your honesty, for your realness. I think it is needed. And I think pushing back on some of the ideas that society has taught us, that we believe ourselves, and even how we approach relationships is an eye opener. It is an eye opener. And honestly, just a simple statement that love is enough, because we've been taught so many other things, that you need this, you need that. And I don't think that does not discount the healing work, that does not discount, the wholeness that we should bring into a marriage, or that we should know who we are, and be connected to who we are. That doesn't discount any of that. But you can have all those things. And if you don't have love, and if you aren't asking the questions that even you asked in the beginning, like, is he good for me? Am I good? Are we good for each other? Because even I think about how we check off boxes, right? Like, he has to make this amount of money, or he has to have this type of degree, or he has to be a good father. He has to be a provider. Any person can have those things, but is he for you? And are you for him? And does he love you? And do you love him?
Right. Right. I want to say this, Cameo, to all the single women out there. There is nothing wrong with having more time to pour into yourself. I believe everything happens for a reason. I don't want young women, I don't want older women looking at their friends who are married and saying, what's wrong with me? There is nothing wrong with you. Everything is about timing. And every person have their struggles. When I was single, I'm going to tell you something, I enjoyed myself. I had a great time being alone. And there's some moments that I come home where I really don't want to be around him or the kids. I don't want to see anyone. And that does not make you a bad person because you enjoy time with yourself. So I say to you single ladies, enjoy your time with yourself because your time is coming. When I say settle, don't settle just to say, I did it. It's done. I checked the box. I got the babies or whatever. When deep down, you're like, you know what? I think I could wait a little while because he doesn't quite do it for me the way I need it. wait, because God made somebody for everyone. It's just, when is your time? And to you married women out there that are happy and feel that you have it all, God bless you. I'm happy for you. But have some empathy and have some compassion and have some understanding to your friends that are single. Be thoughtful when you're talking. Be thoughtful when you feel to look at someone and say, well, I wonder what's her issue? Why is she not married yet? Maybe she doesn't want to be married. Maybe she doesn't want children. Have you even asked her? Quite frankly, you shouldn't, because it's really none of your business. Be thoughtful, be empathetic to people, and know that every situation is different. Every individual is different, and every marriage is different. You make your own rules. Nobody makes your rules for you and your husband. You make your own rules.
Well, Andrea, thank you so much for being a guest on the Good Girl Podcast. I appreciate you. I love your presence.
I had a great time. Thank you for having me, and keep on having these topics. They're necessary and they're needed, Cameo.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. You are listening to the Good Girl Podcast.